All right, we are back. This is, I guess, episode number 48.5.
Yeah.
For a special record.
A little late, yeah.
Right, we don't
like
do
to
this
call
often.
it.
So we have the amazing Sadijah Wallace here with us. Henry Woods is also with us as always. And now, I mean, Henry, this was your idea. We just shooting the shit. We about to talk about a bunch of different
No, okay, so like when I first hit Sadijah, I knew she did her blog. She loved cooking. So I wanted her, because we wanted to do like something specific to our YouTube viewers. We wanted her to like show us a recipe or something like that. So she about to, you know what I'm saying? Tell us what you about to make us real quick.
Okay, so I'm going to make my banana nut bread because I spent not a whole lot of time perfecting the recipe, but a lot of banana nut breads either do too much or they don't do enough and they're dry or just too many ingredients. So I tried this banana nut recipe out last week, and since then quite a few people have tried it and have duplicated it and told me that this was the best banana nut bread that they've ever had. They've made it into muffins. We've done it into a bundt. I've made many banana nut breads for a lot of my family members, and it's been such a hit. It's really simple. Most of the ingredients y'all probably have at home or like to get easily. A lot of people have been spending the pandemic baking, so I figured to add this to your list, it could be like a breakfast or a dessert. So I'll just take y'all through the ingredients, and I'm gonna mix it up, put it in the oven, and we'll continue to chat.
Yeah.
So I have 2 overripe bananas, a 1/4 cup of milk, a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, 2 eggs, some walnuts, brown sugar, regular sugar, a regular flour, some baker's joy, which we're gonna spray the pan with, some vanilla, and I have butter in here, and I'm just about to cream the butter, the sugars, and the oil together, and then add in the bananas, the flour, eggs, the walnuts, and then put it in the oven.
Quick question. That's imitation vanilla or like real vanilla?
Oh no, sweetie. We use pure vanilla over here. Y'all can use imitation if you like, but we usually only use imitation to like boil over the stove, like with our own like homemade potpourri, like cinnamon things, just to like.
I mean, you from the South, so I had to ask. You got to make sure now.
That was a
No.
That was a
But
way of
it's
saying
so
get
crazy
that shit the hell up out of here.
people look at this all the time and they're like, "Oh my gosh, how much did this bottle cost?" I'm like,
Vanilla expensive.
Vanilla is expensive.
Vanilla is
Vanilla
expensive.
ain't cheap.
Vanilla is expensive. I learned 2 things in Dalton. Vanilla expensive, and olive oil expensive. About my cooking stuff. Olive oil and vanilla, them things expensive.
So here's a free tip. So I use olive oil, but I also use a lot of grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil burns less fast burns slower than olive oil, and it's less expensive, and it has more health benefits. So you can use grapeseed oil. I buy it from Costco in like the bulk size, and it's significantly like at least $4 to $5 cheaper than the olive oil in that same size.
So like, since you're doing your thing, cooking or whatever, I just like, how long have you been cooking? Because you know what I'm saying, I've been kind of in my chef bag during this pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Chef out here. So like, how long you been cooking? What made you interested in cooking and all of that?
Especially
so
baking.
I've been cooking for like
okay. You heard what Noah said.
A lot of people can cook. A lot of people can't bake.
That is the truth. So I will say that I know a lot of people who cannot bake to save their life. And baking, I think what it is with that is like it's kind of more tedious, and like any one thing could throw it off. Like it's
very exact.
Like the weather outside, like people like the humidity outside, like anything, movement in the kitchen could make your dish come out terrible. But I think like cooking and baking and stuff come really easy and natural to me. But both my grandmothers, like my grandmother, she was a home ec teacher. Okay. So she taught people how to cook. Then she became like a manager in the cafeteria and like oversaw all of that for like the district, and she worked in both Louisiana and Mississippi. And then she opened up her own catering. And so I just kind of, you know, learned from her. And then my dad's mom, she cooks as well. And so my dad is like the cook in my house, or like was typically the cook in my house. So I learned from them, and it's just something that I really enjoy doing. I feel like cooking is therapy, and I just get to try out new things. Or like if I go out, I like to go out to eat too. So like, but I'm also hard to please. So
you get all that good food at the crib. You like, I can get this back at, you know, wherever my address is at. I don't need this.
Yeah, so a lot of times I know that my food is better than most of the places I'll go and eat. So there are a lot of things that I will not eat.
Pandemic has taught me that. My pandemic has taught me that I can cook well better than some of these restaurants.
You also mad particular. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a Southern thing, Sadijah?
You know, it very well may be, because but then I don't trust a lot of people's judgment on food. Like if you tell me you eat in certain places, then don't talk to me.
My mama cooks every day. Okay, like not every single day, but like 5. If we're talking about a week, my mama cooks 5 out of 7 days. So like I have a very specific palate. So like that's one of the things I did like want to like talk to you about, like as far as like expanding your palate and trying new dishes.
Yeah, so I like a wide variety of food. Growing up in the South, of course, like we have staples and like things that we like, or like different things we like to cook with. I also grew up in, like, my parents are Muslim, but my grandmother and like my aunts and uncles are Muslim. So like I've never had pork before. So like and they also were vegetarian. So like being a vegetarian in the South was definitely different. So I learned to eat a lot of like Greek and Lebanese food like at a young age, because that was a lot of the stuff that they were eating, or Indian food, and like, you know, just stuff like that that a lot of people weren't initially exposed to. I was exposed to at a young age because of like their dietary restrictions and stuff. So I appreciate them for that. Like it definitely has, you know, helped me. So and then I travel a lot. I recently just, well, I won't say like moved back, because this pandemic just kind of caused a shift in everything. So like for the last 7 months, I lived in Thailand. And that was kind of like, I wanted to explore like I love Asian food. So I'm like, I want to explore the culinary aspect of different countries in Southeast Asia. So I visited a lot of places, like did a lot of cooking classes and explored a lot of different foods, like while I was out there. And my time was kind of cut short due to coronavirus, because I came out here to have my launch event in February, and to come from Mardi Gras, which people said was an incubator for coronavirus. So I came down, and I planned on going back to Thailand in March, and all the flights were canceled. I had friends who were coming for the Thai New Year, which was last week. We had all these plans made, you know, and I was gonna stay for at least another 6 months and travel some more countries and learn more about food and different spices and herbs and stuff that were like native to them, and things that I could bring back to America and incorporate in my blog. So that's what I was doing. So
my question,
and I going back after all of this, I tell my mom all the time, I'm like, I am grateful to be home and like to be with family during this, but I know I would have felt more safe and comfortable in Thailand, simply because like the precautions that they took at an early stage, like coronavirus started in China in November, December-ish of last year. We were well aware of it. We were wearing masks. We were washing our hands and using hand sanitizer. You could still buy masks at the store. There was no mass hysteria. Like people weren't going crazy. There were temperature checks in the mall. And even so like, yeah, so you had to walk through like a thing to check your temperature. Hospitals were very precautious. People were very cautious of what was going on. And then even recently, they did curfew, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Nobody in and out. They shut down the malls. They shut down everything but the pharmacy and the hospital, and maybe like the grocery stores. The markets were shut down, everything. Then they did the 24-hour lockdown where they closed everything. So it's like they took the necessary precautions to make the people feel safe. And we didn't do that in America. And we, in a lot of places that we deem essential aren't essential, and people are still open and conducting business as usual. And that's not how it should be.
Right. My question for you is, since I'm probably not, since all this coronavirus going on, I'm probably not going to be able to leave the country for some good time. I know I really wanted to go to that area of the country, and like Thailand and all those countries over there. What was your favorite dish that you had over there? Because I'm sure they be having stuff that we don't know about, spices we don't know about.
Oh yeah.
So what was your favorite dishes that you had over there?
So I'm a big fan of like dumplings, gyoza, like
same.
So they have a lot of that at like the markets and stuff. So you can get those like fresh made dumplings, and then they have like a noodle soup that has the dumplings and like the noodles and the broth, and that's really good with like a chili, like this chili oil. I have some in my fridge, but so that they have this instant noodle stir fry, and I was gonna do that on my blog too. And they basically just take like the ramen noodle pack and like make it into like a stir fry, like on a wok with vegetables, whatever protein and egg. And it is like, me and my friends talk about it all the time, like, oh my gosh, that was one of the best meals we had. And of course we were drunk one night and like just randomly found a place on the side of the road like while we were driving. But like
they need a spot.
Yes, it was so good. And then of course, like, I love the curries and like the eggplant dishes and just everything, like their mangoes, like the dessert, the eggplant. Yes, I love eggplant.
Yeah, I'm with Henry on that. I'll take a pass.
No, like
ironically, since we talk about food and stuff in pandemic, so like I'm a spoiled brat. So like my mom drove from Georgia to like make sure I had groceries or whatever, and like
what? What?
Okay, I'm gonna put this right here because I'm about to put some. Yeah, I saw that.
Make sure you let us see that. So whatever, we gonna skip past that part. So like we was in the store, and my sister had grabbed the eggplant, and she talking about she about to cook with it. I was like, girl, what? I have never tasted an eggplant. So what is like that texture?
It just depends on how you cook it. So like, people fry eggplant, and you can have eggplant parmesan. And that's one of my favorite dishes.
Eggplant parmesan, like cheese and eggplant.
Yeah, but it's fried and breaded like with breadcrumbs or flour, and then
I do all that to dress it up. No, ma'am. I will eat it, but I will respectfully not ask for seconds.
No, it's like, honestly, and then like in Mediterranean food, they'll like saute it. And so it's like sauteed with different herbs and stuff. And it is so like, I'm going to show y'all one of my favorite things from Trader Joe's, because it's eggplant based, and it's another, it's something you can keep in your pantry.
Henry, I like how me and you sitting here with the gas tank. Like,
we just.
So this is eggplant and with tomatoes and onions. So it's like the Mediterranean sauteed
out the can.
Eggplant.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, so you can like eat it, and then also they have the domas.
Question: so do you do that like red peppers and onions when you just like throw it in there and you cook it, and it just, you know what I'm saying, make the food more?
Yeah, like it'll sweat down like how a pepper and onion will.
Okay.
If you saute it. But
I ain't not, like, does it add flavor though? That's really eggplant look like it's flavorless.
Like they make eggplant fries and everything.
Oh.
Does it have flavor? Like, what's the flavor of the eggplant?
It ain't got one.
It's however you flavor it. Like, it's just like I guess the vegetable you could probably compare it most to that you might eat is like a squash or a zucchini as far as like the texture goes.
See, I don't eat squash or zucchini unless my mama
I can
cook
eat
it.
squash or zucchini every single day.
If my mama ain't cooking squash or zucchini because she do that little like mixed melody of the squash and the zucchini, had that salt, pepper,
Yeah,
and
me
real
too.
season, it'd be good. But I don't cook it, and I'm not eating it unless she cook it. So this was my next question for you, because you know black people don't write down recipes. We just add this and dash this and cook at it.
Right. So that has been my challenge of like, so when people ask me about like, oh, how do you make this? I literally have to sit down. And so with this banana bread recipe, like I told you, I was perfecting it. So like I was in the kitchen and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put this in there. I'm gonna put that in there, this and this in there. And then I'm like, okay, I need to go back and do it again and kind of measure it out. Like I can eyeball what looks like a fourth of a cup, and so like I have to go back and do it. So everything on my site are recipes that I've tried and that like I've personally made to make sure that like the quantity of whatever is correct. And it's not like you're just like, oh, a dash of this. But like for seasonings and stuff, I definitely put to taste because some people like their seasoning like lighter or heavier. Just kind of depends.
No, that's real. Cause like,
we'll say a little bit, and that should be a cup for us.
Right. Cause like lately I've been during quarantine just calling my mom up, like, okay, mom, what we about to make? Because you know what I'm saying, like, Father God in the name of Jesus. I ain't even finna address that. But anyway, I just be thinking about stuff. But anyway, like I just been calling my mom up because that lady can cook, and I don't know her recipes. And then like my older sister, she weird. She be trying eggplants and shit. Don't have time for it. And then my other sister, she can cook, but she don't like to cook. So it like I need all my mama recipes. Like I need it. So like next week, me and her cooking dressing because that's like one of my favorite things.
Cook what?
Dressing, like stuffing, like.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
That's like one of my favorite things to eat.
I have 3 different dressing recipes on my site because it's one of my favorite things too.
Question: you got one with seafood?
Yes.
I knew it. I knew it. Niggas from Louisiana love seafood. So like, I'm not a big seafood person, but like one year, my older brother, he can cook too. Like, all of my mama kids can cook, but point is, my older brother had made the like seafood dressing and brought it to Thanksgiving. And he fooled me as if it was like regular dressing. He was like, yeah, Duran, go ahead and try it. You know you love that shit, whatever. I'm sitting here trying, I'm like, bro, this tastes different. Mama, did you cook this? Like, what's up? He was like, nigga, this shit got crab and lobster. Like, you eat seafood. I'm like, bro, what? It was good.
Yeah.
That's tasty right there. Yeah, I don't know how you don't like seafood, bro.
It's just like
that's
salmon, shrimp, lobster, crab. That's it.
Crabs, scallops, oysters.
Yeah, I love it all.
And that's one of the reasons I haven't traveled to New Orleans for real, because like it's a very like what's the word? Y'all got a lot of seafood and shit. Like, yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of different food. Like a lot of the stuff that we eat. Like I said, on Sunday I'm cooking crawfish bisque. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with it. So
yes, Lord.
So like for crawfish bisque, you have to take a boiled crawfish, peel the head, and like clean the inside, and then you stuff them. Like you make a stuffing for, you stuff it. Then you can either bake them or fry them, and then you have to make a roux like for the gravy. And then use like crawfish tails in that too. And then you serve it with rice. So I'm doing that because that's like literally a labor of love. Like we talk about it, but like it takes
real
so much time.
Intricate.
What time y'all doing that? I'll be sure to be there by the time y'all doing that. I'm pretty sure that sounds good as I don't know what.
Come on, but yeah, like and so like when I post my menu, sometimes people ask me to cook like oh, well, can I pay you to cook this for my family too? So I already know that I have quite a few orders of crawfish bisque to make this weekend. So I started early. You can freeze the heads if you like, get them. Like if you peel your crawfish, like let's just say you had crawfish 2 weeks ago, you save your heads, you could put them in the freezer, you just thaw them out, put a little baking soda in the water, and boom, they're perfect. So I had crawfish yesterday for the purpose of peeling some more heads because I knew I was gonna need them for this
It
weekend.
just sounds
So.
nasty. So like,
Oh, it's so good, but you can even. It's just like how you say you like dressing. Like it's kind of the same concept of like a dressing, or like how you stuff a bell pepper, but you stuff the crawfish head.
I like stuffed bell peppers.
Yeah, so it's pretty much that same concept with the crawfish being the protein and the base for it, and then you just serve it in like a roux type gravy with rice.
That's right.
So kind of like a mix between like an etouffee and a gumbo, if you have to like describe it as far as like.
Well, speaking of gumbo, because I'm really, really picky with gumbo.
Are you serious?
Me too.
Yeah.
I will
Some
never
people
order
put too much. They be just, it be too much.
There's no such thing as too much. There's no such thing.
I will never order gumbo at a restaurant.
Oh, I would never order.
I agree with you there.
That's something on my list of something that I would never order.
I agree with her on that.
Okay, y'all. So I mixed this already. I'm gonna show y'all. I'm spraying my bundt pan with the Baker's Joy, which is flour and baking spray. And that's important for anything you're baking, because if not, I've had trouble like getting stuff out of the pan when you try to do regular cooking spray and then like sprinkle it with flour. So this is
I was about to say that's the black way.
stick. Yeah, but that like isn't always foul-proof, because it's
you're right. Because I done cooked some cakes where I done flipped them out the pan and then half of that shit be still in there.
Yeah, and then also that goes to resting time too. So on my pound cake recipe, like you'll see, like you have to set your timer, because if you let it sit too long or not long enough, then you'll have a hard time getting it out too. So I'm just gonna take this out. I mixed it all up. I'm just gonna pour. Usually I have a cameraman, so just go pour this.
One woman do it all. Show the dad.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna put it. I'm not gonna scrape the rest of it just because I don't feel like it. Well, actually, I might scrape a little bit out of it. Actually, y'all, it's a lot at the bottom of this thing. I'm gonna scrape it. It's like enough for a whole nother layer. But yeah, it's something quick. It only takes like maybe 15 minutes in the oven, 15 to 20 minutes in the oven for it to cook. And then also another thing with baking, like I said, it's such a science that if I have a dark version of this same size loaf pan, if you cook in a dark container versus a glass one, like the cooking time changes. If depending on what shape, that changes too. So I think that's what makes baking versus cooking different in a little bit.
So do you like? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say for our viewers, you said you put it in for about 15 minutes or so. At what heat? I'm sure somebody will.
350. So my oven has been on preheat since before we got on the phone. But yeah. But then also like that matters too, like what type of oven you have, and knowing that like some ovens cook faster or slower. So adjusting that to like how your oven is. My oven, I prefer gas stove. So we have a gas stove. It cooks food more evenly. So I have a gas stove. And our temperatures are like normal. So it's not like I know like my gas stove gets too hot. But I have a friend whose gas stove gets like super hot, and so if I put it on 350, I know I need to adjust my time by like 2 to 3 minutes at minimum. So
that makes sense.
So yeah, I'll quickly put this in the oven.
Now I'm hungry.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it in my oven on the top rack because that's important in the middle.
Okay, so like when I cook or bake or when I put stuff in the oven, I always put it on the bottom rack because I think.
Also do that, man.
I think the heat just centralized and make it cook faster. What's the science behind that?
Right. Yeah. So that's the problem. Like when you baking, you don't want the bottom to cook faster than the middle. So if you have it on like the top rack, the heat evenly distributes. So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so like the heat evenly distributes in the oven when you put it on the top. Because trust me, like I've had baking fails where I put it at the bottom because, or like, you know, when you're like making Thanksgiving dinner or like stuff like that where you're trying to cook a lot of different stuff, baking is something that like you have to make sure your oven is empty for it. Like you don't want nothing else in there that'll like throw off your chemistry with your food or it will be a disaster. So
Now I'm ready to eat. You don't even know.
I didn't ask you sending my joint through the mail or what?
That's what I'm saying. How can we get the FedEx
and
Express
y'all know what's really crazy is that I had like, so I told y'all I came out here to have my lunch brunch. I'm blessed enough to be able to afford to come back from Asia to America pretty much at any point I want to. So like my plan was to come back every 3 months to have a event in different parts of the country because I have a lot of friends everywhere. So my next event was supposed to be in May, in DC to like, you know, have like another brunch. And I was gonna do one every 3 months. But here we are with, you know, limits on gatherings and still different sanctions and stuff. So coronavirus kind of like interrupted those plans, but I just say like kind of put a pause on it because it's something I still want to do.
Hungry in the house.
When I get back, when travel is back in place, Atlanta's on the top of my list of places to go. DC is like number one on my list of places to go before I make my way back out of the country. So I got y'all.
Turn it up then. So where can we follow you at, subscribe, and all of that stuff?
Yeah, Savored by Sadie, SAVORED X SADIE. So Savored by Sadie, but with an X. That's on Instagram and Twitter. Facebook is Savored by Sadie BY. And then the website is savoredbysadie.com.
Well, y'all know, go check that out. Know about to throw our shit out, and we gonna be on now.
Yes.
So be sure to follow all of that so we can all be jealous of the amazing food you chefing up. But be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WRGO Pod. Be sure to watch this video, which will exclusively be on YouTube, so then you can make that banana bread just like Sadijah. Be sure to also like, comment, listen, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Podcasts. We didn't even know we was on there, but we is. So
Yeah.
we're going to do all of that. And Sadijah, we appreciate you for not only coming on once, but coming on twice.
We love you. Thank you so much for the conversation.
Well, y'all have a good one. I already told my friends to subscribe. I subscribed on